I stepped into the room, and immediately I could hear the echoes of the screaming children, and the intensity of the chlorine hit me, and my eyes began to water. This may sound like a really awful place to be, but this indoor water park is the greatest place on earth. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about my family trips to Great Wolf Lodge. When I was 10, my parents got divorced, and 10 is not a very young age for your parents to get divorced, so I do have some memories of us as a family. None of them stick out to me more than the ones that we made at Great Wolf Lodge. We did lots of enjoyable things together. We saved the giant pirate ship, we conquered the giant snake and the floating lily pads, and we also had a lot of fun on the water sides. Even though Great Wolf Lodge is just a water park, it will always be a place where I made memories that can never be recreated. The giant pirate ship was my sister's favorite part of the entire water park because they loved watching me get dumped on, even though I hated it. The giant pirate ship was not my favorite, but we always went there first anyway because it was their favorite. When you walk into the water park, you can immediately see the giant pirate ship. It has tons of levers, wheels, and buttons, and so there's plenty of stuff to do. We even made up our own game. You have to turn every wheel, lever, and button before the 5-minute timer runs out. If you don't, you have to get soaked and get dumped on by the giant water bucket. Sometimes we purposely lost because my sisters loved watching me get soaked, knowing that I hated it. Once we saved the ship, it was time to conquer the floating snake and the giant lily pads. Our next stop at the water park was the floating snake and the giant lily pads, which was a healthy way for us to compete as a family. When I was a baby, I had brain surgery. I'm okay now, but it has affected me long term. For example, I can't balance as well as other kids, which made it extremely difficult to go across all of the lily pads. So while I was struggling to balance on one, my sisters were leaping across all 5 of them effortlessly. I would get so jealous that I would start to push them off, and my mom and dad would yell at me. When I couldn't bear to fall off one more time, I would just quit and go play water basketball with my dad. I never won a game of lily pads, but I do remember my first time going across them without falling. I was so happy that I refused to go again in fear of falling and ruining the joy I felt. We saved the giant pirate ship, conquered the floating snake and lily pads, and now it was time to turn our eyes to the giant water slides. My favorite part of the entire water park was the giant water slides because my dad would give us, me and my sisters, his full attention. My family was most engaged at the water slides because we could talk and laugh and go down slides together. I remember the water slides most because they were the area where we spent the most time. We didn't even know there was water slides until the second time we came, and we were so excited that we ran straight there without caring about slipping on the wet floor. When we got there, we realized we were too short to go by ourselves and had to go down with a parent. We never went down with my mom because she always complained about how the water was too cold and she didn't want to get her hair wet, so we often fought about who got to go down with my dad. We only stayed at Great Wolf Lodge for a couple of days at a time, but we made memories to last a lifetime. Even though Great Wolf Lodge is just a water park, it will always be a place where I made memories that can never be recreated. We saved the giant pirate ship, conquered the floating snake and lily pads, and we had quality father-daughter time on the water sides. Jodi Picoult once said that family isn't a social construct, but an instinct. So every time I hear the echoes of screaming children, and if chlorine makes my eyes water, I will instinctually think of the memories I made with my family at Great Wolf Lodge. Because the memories I made there couldn't possibly be the result of a social construct. They're the result of love that I will never experience again.